How does a case proceed after the entire courtroom, including the judge, has just lost it completely? I never expected to be the most memorable witness in a courtroom. But then again, I never expected my comedy podcast to deliver the most perfectly timed punchline in legal history. I had been called as a witness in a car accident case. The defendant was accused of running a red light and hitting the plaintiff's vehicle. The plaintiff was claiming serious injuries and significant damage to his car. The whole thing had apparently escalated into a proper legal proceeding, and somehow I was sitting in a courtroom about to give testimony. When the defendant's lawyer asked what I had seen, I explained it clearly. I had been driving directly behind the defendant. I watched him stop at the red light completely. The plaintiff, on the other hand, had apparently decided that waiting was not for him and sped up, attempting to squeeze past on the right. He did not squeeze past. He slammed straight into a parked car. The lawyer asked if I was absolutely certain the light had been red when this all happened. I said yes. He asked how I could be so certain. I told him I had a dash cam that recorded everything. The courtroom went noticeably quiet. He asked if I had the footage with me. I said yes and handed him a USB drive. The video played on the large screen in front of the judge and jury. It showed everything exactly as I had described it. The defendant stopped at the red light, the plaintiff accelerating to pass on the right, and then the unmistakable moment of impact as he connected with the parked car clear. Undeniable. Case essentially over. But the dash cam had captured one more thing: my car stereo. I had been listening to a comedy podcast during my drive that morning. The host had been doing a bit about traffic violations and bad decision-making behind the wheel. And at the precise exact moment the plaintiff's car made contact with the parked vehicle. Not a second before, not a second after, the host said clearly through my speakers, "And that's why you never run a red light, kid." The courtroom exploded. Not polite chuckles, full uncontrollable laughter from every direction simultaneously. Jurors were covering their mouths. Lawyers were shaking. The plaintiff looked like he wanted to dissolve directly into his chair. The judge, who had presumably seen everything in his years on the bench, doubled over and had to use his gavel while still visibly struggling to compose himself. He banged it several times more out of necessity than authority. When order was eventually restored, he thanked me for my testimony with what I can only describe as the expression of a man who was absolutely going to tell the story at dinner tonight. He dismissed me still chuckling. I walked out of that courtroom, and the plaintiff's case walked out with me. Subscribe, because sometimes a comedy podcast delivers the most perfectly timed punchline in courtroom history, and those moments deserve an audience. New stories every week. Hit that button.